Welcome back to another project. In this project, we're going to create a full month calendar using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. As you can see from the final version of the project, we have a calendar for months. It has a header with the month's title and also the date. And we have the full month's information from the 1 to 30 days. And if you look at the computer, it's a really correct date. So today is 9 Thursday, and then we have the full months from 1 to 30. So this is all dynamically coming from the browser. And also we have this Thursday 9 June 2022 at the top as well. And also we're going to style it like this. So we have that shadow effect and everything using CSS. I hope you enjoyed this project. So see you in the next section for the HTML part of the project. All right, let's start our project. I just keep the final version open here as a reference. Now we can open the Visual Studio Code and create the new files. So I just click on the Visual Studio Code. Here we click on this close icon to close the Get Started tab. In the file menu, we click on Open Folder to create a new folder. I would like to create the project as usual in my desktop, but you can create it anywhere you like in your own computer. So here I click on the new folder button to create a new folder. I'll call the project month calendar and I press enter. We can click here on the select folder to select the folder. Now, after closing the Get Started tab, we can create our HTML file on the left side in the Explorer section. We can click here to create a new file, and we just call it index.html. And here we can use an exclamation mark to create an HTML5 boilerplate using Emmet. So we press tab or enter. Now we have our HTML5 boilerplate, which includes the doc type, which tells the browser what version of HTML we are using. And as we are using HTML5, we just need to have HTML here. The HTML tag covers both the head and the body tag, and the lang attribute here sets the language of the page, which in our case is English. The head tag includes the metadata tags and the title tag. The first metadata tag sets the char set or the characteristic of our characters in our codes. And for HTML5, UTF-8 is recommended because it nearly contains all the characters and symbols. Then we have the compatibility meta tag, which tells the Internet Explorer browser to use the most recent rendering engine, which is Edge. The viewport meta tag tells the browser to how to resize the page. So we set the width of the browser to the width of the device's screen. For example, the mobile screen has the smaller width than the computer screen. Then we have the initial scale level or zoom level of the browser, which is set to be 100% as a default. The title sets the title of the page. If you open the browser now using, for example, Live Server extension, you can see that the title is document now. We can simply change that by changing this title. So we set that one to the name of our project, which is month calendar. Let's bring the browser, the VS Code on the left side and the browser on the right side, so we can see everything simultaneously. As we are using Live Server, we can see everything on real time. Any change we do here, we see it there. For example, if I delete this title, we see it in real time. Okay. So now we have our template. Let's start take what we need for our project. So this is the project we have. It has a background of salmon color. So we have a container here. So we have a div with a class of container. Then inside this, we have another div for the calendar. This is a one div for the calendar. I can show you here by drawing actually. So let's use a good color. So just choose blue. Okay. So this is the calendar div. It has a div at the top. This div has two parts, the H1 for example, here, and we have a p tag here. Okay. Then we have another div for, let me show you in different color. This is another div for the weekdays. For example, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then we have one day for days. And each of these 1, 2, 3 are one div as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, etc. all to the end here. So we need to create our HTML based on these divs. So the first div was the container, which is the body section. All of them is the container, and then we have the calendar and etc. So let's go to the next one, which is the calendar div. So we have a div with the class of calendar. Then we have a div with the class of months, which is here. Inside this div, as I mentioned before, we have so one div here, and then we can just cover both of them with one div as well. So we can just have a div with the class of date. And inside this one, we have H1. Now I just hard-coded the months. We can see here, June. And after this H1, we have a paragraph. We just say Wednesday, for example, today's date, June 8th, 2022, like this. After this div, the months div, we have the weekdays div. So we have a div with a class of weekdays. And this one has, each of them is a div too. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So for example, Monday is a div. It doesn't have a class. We don't need a class for this. We just say month. Okay. So here we can see month. So let's copy this one 6 more times using Alt-Shift-Arrow down. So we have 7 days of the week. The next one is Tuesday. Then we have Wednesday, Thursday. Then we have Friday, Saturday, and finally we have Sunday. Okay. You can see here it doesn't have any style. We're going to style it in the next section using CSS, but just for now, we finish the HTML file first. After the weekdays, we have the div with the class of days. And each day, as you can see, the first 2 div is empty, doesn't have any number. So I just added div with a class of, I call it empty. So I copy this one 2 times, 1 time. So we have 2 empty divs because we need to, first we need to style it, but later using JavaScript, we're going to calculate how many days we need to be empty because each month starts from a different day of the week. For example, this month, this particular month, June of 2022, starts from Wednesday. But next month here, for example, July, will start from first start from Friday. So we need to calculate these for these days before the first day using JavaScript. So I'm going to teach you how to calculate that in the JavaScript part. But for now, we just hard-code 2 empty divs here. Then we want to have 30 days here. Okay. So instead of typing it all the way and then changing the 1 to 2 or something or copy it, we can make a trick. For example, we just say div and we add a multiply here and we just say 30 and we add a set of curly braces and we add a $sign here. Now, if we use emit and we press enter or we accept this, we're going to have 30 divs from the 1 to 30. That's easy as that. Yeah. Okay. So let me review that. So div multiply 30. We have 30 divs and $sign for it to be a variable. Okay. The other things is, as you see from the final version, the today, which is the 8th of June, is highlighted by different colors. So for today, that is 8, I'm going to add a class, we just say today. But later using JavaScript, we're going to add the class using dynamically using JavaScript. So this is not hard-coded like this one is just hard-coded for we apply the CSS, but later it's going to be all dynamic. Okay, that was it for the HTML part of the project. In the next section, we're going to install the project using CSS. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have completed the HTML part of our project. In this section, we're going to style the project using CSS. First things we need to do is to create a file called style.css. So here on the left side in the Explorer section, we right click and click on the new file. We name the file style.css. Before styling the project, we need to add a link to the style.css file inside the index.html file. So here in the head tag, just after the title tag, we add a link tag. We just write link and we click on the third auto suggestion, the one with the CSS. So now we have a link tag with the external link to the style sheet. And as both files are located at the same directory, we just need to have a style.css. So let's start styling just from the body section. Let's close this Explorer section so we have more space. So we just remove firstly the margin and padding from our project. So margin 0. So you can see there is no margin now. We can remove the padding as well. Then we change the font family, the font of our project to sans serif. You can see the difference. And then after the body tag, if you remember, inside the body tag, we have a container that is covering everything. So we target that container by just saying .container. Then we set the width to be 100%, height to be 100% of the viewport height. So now we can bring everything inside this in the center using display flex and other stuff. So let's change the background color to be salmon color, like this. You can see so now first we can start with the calendar part so we can see what we are doing. And then we come back to container again, because I want to show you what I always write. I don't want to just write down and then later say, oh, whatever I write happens like now. So it's better for learning purposes. So we target the calendar and we set the background color to be black. Okay, so everything's gone now. But we change the color of the text by just saying color. We set it to be light gray. Okay. The next things we need to do is just to add a width to it. So the 450 pixels. Then we have the height. We set it to be, for example, 520 pixels. So now we have this size. It's exactly like this, but it's not in the center. And so in order to bring it to the center, for the container, we just change the display to flex. Then we set the justify content to be center to bring it in the center horizontally, and item center or align item center to bring it to the center vertically, like this. Okay. And the other things we want to do is just, I want to add a box shadow too to this. To make it a little bit like this, we have some shadow here, and also we make it rounded corner. So for making a rounded corner, we can change the border radius to be, for example, 10 pixels. Then for box shadow, we set it to be 4 pixels for the horizontal shadow, 4 pixels for the vertical shadow, and 8 pixels for the blur radius. Then the color of we use RGBA. For the red, we just use 0, green, 0, blue, 0. So we have now black color. For the alpha value, we set it to be 40% transparency or opacity. So we have the shadow now. And now we want to make the head like this in the different color. And also we want to bring everything to the center like this as well. So we target the months here. We target this months. Firstly, we set the width to be 100%. And then we set the height to be 120 pixels. So let's change the background color so we can see it better. So the background color for this, I want to use the color called light light green. No, it's called light sea green. Yeah, this one, this color. And then for bringing everything to the center, we use display first flex. Then we use justify content center and align items center to bring the items to the center like this. But it's still the text is not in the center. We can just use text align center as well. So we make it completely in line in the center. But as you can see, the rounded at the top now is removed because this head is over that. So we need to add a border radius here as well. But the border radius we want to add is a 10 pixels and 10 pixels for the top. And we want the 0 for bottom like this. So that is fine now. Next step is just target this one and this one. If you look at here, so this is the date and H1 and P. We want to target H1 and P tag. So we can just simply just say months and we target the H1 first. First, we change the font size to be 30 pixels. It's a little bit smaller. And then we set the font weight to be 400, a bit thinner. Then we make it uppercase using text transform property. We just say text transform, and then we set it to be uppercase like this. So it's uppercase now. And let's target that paragraph. So we just say months, paragraph, and this one should be fonts. We set the font size to be 16 pixels. Okay. But 16 actually, we don't need to add 16 because the default font size is 16 by itself. So we can just remove this or leave it as a reference. Next step is these weekdays. We want them to be next to each other and with the same space from each other. So we need to target this weekdays div, and we can target weekdays and these divs too. So we just, firstly, we target the weekdays, and we set it to be 100% the width. Then we set the height to be 50 pixels. Okay, you can see the height now is 50 pixels. And then we set the display to flex to bring them next to each other like this. Okay. Now we target them individually. We just say weekdays and we just target the div inside the weekdays. And this div, firstly, we change the font size to be 15 pixels. Then the font weight to be bold. So it's a bit thicker. Then we add a space between them between the letters using letter spacing 1 pixel. Okay. Then we set the width to be 100% as well because we want to use justify content. So now the width is 100%, but they are not in the center actually. So here we just use display flex as well. Then we set the align item center and justify content center too. Okay, now they look very nice. I think that's it for the weekdays, and then we start with the days here. So we have a div with a class of days. Inside we have all the 30 divs, but some of them they have a class of empty, but some of them there's a class of today. We want the today has the same color of the header and empty to be completely empty, but I want the empty should at least to be a square so it has some space. So we target all divs and we can achieve that. So firstly, we target the days that is covering everything. We set the width to be 100%, display to flex to bring everything to the next to each other. But I wanted them to go to the next line as well. So we set the flex wrap to be flex. In this case, when we have a overflow of these items, they should go to the next line. But now they are next to each other because we have a space. So we just can add some padding as well. So padding should be 2 pixels. Then we target each div. So we just say days, and we target all the divs, the 30 divs. Firstly, we change the font size to be 14 pixels. So this should be smaller. We add a margin of 3 pixels. Next, we add a width. The width for them, it's 57.5 pixels. So I actually achieved them by try and error. So I'll show you why I choose this number later. So we set the height to be 50 pixels, and then we set the display to flex, and justify content center, align item center. Okay. The reason they are not coming down now, because this flex wrap shouldn't be flex, it should be wrap actually. So now everything came next to each other. So the reason we wait to be 57, for example, if you make it a smaller like 50, they will be like that. So by try and error, I found this number 57.5, and they are now exactly under the width, and everything, the height and everything. If you change the height, for example, more height, they come down. So everything I calculated by try and error. So nothing special here. Now we want to add this hover effect. When we hover over them, we want the border. Okay. So we target this hover effect. We just say days and that div. And if they have a hover effect, I want the border to be, let's show it here, 2 pixels. Now the color is black. So firstly, we make it solid, and then we change the color to gray. So now we can see it like this. And we set the cursor to be pointer. The reason we see the movement because of the border box value. We need to, in the body section, we change the box sizing to be border box. When you do this one, we can still see the movement. We should actually target box sizing inside the everything, not only the body. So instead of just changing a body, we can change everything using this sign. Now we can see that box sizing border box is applied. Okay, but we didn't still get this one, the today, to be different color. And also when we hover, when we hover over this empty, we still get the border. We don't want to get the border when we are here. So we can remove that one easily here. We just say not, don't apply this one to the empty div, the div with the class of empty, these two. So now we don't get this border here. Also the cursor is not pointer. Let's target this today. So we can just say today. We just changed the background color. The background color was light sea green, like this. Okay. I think that was it for the CSS part. Everything is okay. In the next section, we're going to start adding the real data. This is actually not the real data because this is 8, and actually today I'm recording is 9. So we want to get the current data using the browser's data that is coming from your computer, and we can easily achieve that using JavaScript date method. So in the next section, we're going to start with the JavaScript part of our project. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have completed a styling of our project using CSS. In this video, we're going to create the JavaScript file of our project and add a dynamic date and a calendar for our project. So first thing first, we need to create a JavaScript file. So on the left side in the Explorer section, we right-click and we click on New File. We create a file called index.js. Before using JavaScript in our project, we need to add a link to the JavaScript file within the HTML code. So we need to go to index.html, and just at the end, next to the body closing tag, we just add a script tag. We just write a script and we click on the second auto suggestion, the one with the src. As both files are located at the same directory, I mean the index.html and index.js, we just need to write index.js in the src attribute. Now we can use JavaScript in our project. The first thing I want to fix and make it dynamic is this June months and also the date here. As you can see, we hard-coded June and June 8th, but today is actually 13, and we need to get it from the browsers. Okay, let's we get these months first. So in order to get the months, we need the index of the months. If you check here, we have 12 months. The index of the first month is 0, 1, 2, 3, 2 to 11. So in order to get the index, we just create a constant and we call it months index. And this is going to be equal, make a new date, construct a new date. This is the dates constructor, and actually it's a built-in constructor from JavaScript. So we create a new date. Let me console log this so you can see what we are doing. So now let's open the console using F12. As you can see, let me increase the size. As you can see, we have the date and time as a string, depending on the local time. For me, is Australian Eastern Standard Time. We have the time and also the date that is correct. And if you refresh the page, we should get a new time now. Now, instead of time, I just want to get the months. Okay, we just need to add a dot here and we just say get months. Let's see what we get here. We are getting the index 5. As I mentioned before, it starts from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So June is 5. The index is 5. Then we need to create an array of months. And based on the array, we get the correct months. So we just create an array of months. We call it months. And this one starts with January and continue with February and so on. I'm not going to type this one. I'm going to grab it here, but you can just grab that one from the resource section, GitHub resource, or you can type it as well. So I paste all of them here, January, February to December. Now, if we want to see the month's name, for example, if I console log here after this, instead of months index, I can just say months. And here, I just say months index. That one should have an S. Let's open the console again. Now we are getting June. Okay. Now we want to put this June inside this here. In order to do that, we need to get it first. We need to bring it here to the JavaScript. So this one, actually, it's div with the class of date. And we want to change this head1, h1. So let me delete this one so you can see the change when I do it. So now we don't have. So let's bring it here. So we just create, let me do it at the top. We create a constant and we call it months element. So we tap to the document and we just say query selector because it's a class. The class name was date. So we should add a dot date. And after that, we go to h1. Okay. So now, instead of console logging, we just change the inner text of this. So we just say inner text is equal to months with the index of months index. Now we are getting the June, but this is dynamic. So next month, it's going to be July, for example. The next thing is this one. This is very simple. We just need to first bring it, this part, which is the paragraph inside the div with the class of date. So let's copy this one and then call this one full date element. And this is coming from date and paragraph. And the inner text for this, just say full date element. And this is going to be equal. We need to get the current date by just saying new date. And then this is we can say, we can convert this one to date to date string like this. Now we are getting the same as before, but this is the correct one because today is 13 in my calendar. Okay. So we don't need it actually here inside this h1, and we can delete it from here. Okay. The next step is just the weekdays is okay. We don't need to touch it. We need to get these day of month dynamically. And if there are, we just have to get the first day here, which day is of the week. And then the previous one, we should make it empty. And then we fill all of them until here. And finally, we need to highlight the today's date, which is today is 30. Okay. So we go back to index.js, and first day, we want to know that how many days we have in the months. For example, this month is 30 days, but the next month is 31 days. Okay, so we need to get that information. So we create a constant and we call it last day. The last day is going to be, we create a new date because we want to get the date. And which date we want to get? We want to get the date for 2022 and this year. We can just hard code, for example, 2022 and the index of the month, which is June 5. And then we just, we can do it like this, but we want to do it dynamically. So we need to create a new date here. And for the first one, we want to get the full year, which is 2022 in our case, in this time. The next one is the months. We need to get the months. So we just create a new date and we get the months. That gives us the index. Or we could use this one as well. So we can bring this one here, and instead of typing in this one again, we just can paste here months index. And let me console log this one first to show you. So now if we set a 0 here, we want the day with the 0. So which day is the 0? The 0 means the previous month. So let me show it in your console. It's telling me invalid date. So let me see what mistake we did. So this is get months. That is correct. Get full year, we should add a parenthesis here. That's a function. Okay. Now we got the previous day. We got the May 31. Okay. This is the date we got. So we know now the previous months have how many days. For example, May was 31 days. If you want to get the current month, we just need to add 1 to this index. So we get the next month's 0 day, which is the 30 of this month. So I open the console. Now we should get the last day of this month, which is June 30. Okay, now we got the date. We want to see, we just want to get the number 30 actually. So instead of getting all of them, we just want to add here, get date. So get date is going to give us just the number. So let me open the console. Now we're just getting 30. For the next month, for example, July, if you add 2, this is going to be 31. So we want the current month, which is 30. Okay, now we have this 30. So let's create it here. At the end here, we create a variable called days. And we set it to be an empty string first. Then we create a for loop. And this is going to start from 1 because the day of the month starts from 1. Then we want this one to be until the last day, the 30 days. So I should be equal and less than last day. And we want to increment I each time 1. Now, let's add this last day. That one should be like this, less than and equal. Okay, now it's correct. So now we just set the days equal, we add a new days like this, and we add a backtick to have a dynamic. So we add a div here. Let's close the div. And inside is dynamic, the number of days. The number of days, we can add a $sign. and we just say I is the number of days. Now let's delete everything so we can see the results. So we delete everything. Now we are not getting any results. So let me check again. So div, we added days. Oh, we added the days, but we didn't put it inside this div. First, we need to get this div. So we copy this and we call this one days element. And this is going to be equal to days selector. And we just say days.element.inner HTML is equal to days. That's it. Now we can see days from 1 to 30. Okay. But the problem is that the month is not starts from Monday. It starts from Wednesday. So we need to get the start point as well. That is very simple as well. Similar to one we get the last day, we need to get the first day. So let me delete this console and I copy this last day and we make this one first day. So here we should get the current month, not the next month. And we want the first day, not the 0. Okay. And instead of getting the date, we want to get the day. We want to know which day of the week is that. So let's console log this, the first day. So the first day is showing 3. But as I mentioned before, the first day was Wednesday. So it should be 0, 1, 2. This index should be 2. The reason we are getting this one in JavaScript, weeks start from Sunday, not Monday. So it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So actually that is correct. But because we started the week from Monday, we are getting the wrong one. So in order to fix it for in our case, we can just minus this to 1. So we're now getting the correct index, which is 2. Okay. Now we need to fill the first 2 with the empty divs. Okay. Because the month starts from Wednesday, and should be here, 1 should be here, and it have to have 2 empty divs. So here at the end, before this, we added another for loop. This for loop is the opposite. It starts from the top and we come back. So we use I minus minus here. So this one, I starts from the first day. So it starts from here, the Wednesday index, and it comes back to the beginning. So we just say I is greater than, I think I should be greater than 0, and then we decrease the I. We test this one. I'm not sure about this, so we try this first. So we just say days like this one. We need to copy this, and instead of this, we just have a class of empty. Empty. So it's not working. Let's check the error. 33. So let me first check. Actually, everything was correct, but we have to refresh the page. And then in order, we shouldn't get the number here. So we need to remove this I from here. So now it's empty. So that is correct now. And the next step, we want to get the highlighted. We want to this current day, which is 13 today, should be highlighted with the this div, which is today. We created in the start here, the light green. So here we just need to add a if here, if a statement. We just say if the current day is equal to the I is equal to the current day. The current day is, we can get here by just saying new date dot get date. And we get the date. Yeah, this is the current date. And if this one happened, instead of doing this, we want to change the class to today. Let's refresh the page. And this one should be, I think, like this. Okay, now the current date, but this is one is added. So we need to put this one in the else. So we don't add it 2 times. Okay, so now everything is correct. The month starts from Wednesday and the 30 days. And the current day, which is 13, is highlighted by the green color, which is styled as CSS. We are getting the current month and also current date here. Monday, June 13, 2022. So let me explain this one again. Maybe it's complicated for some people. So let me increase the size here. So we got the elements from our index.html, months, full day elements, and also the days element. We got the index of the months by using new date get months, and we brought a new array, and with using the index, we got the month's name, and we showed inside this full date element in months element using inner text. And also we got the full date element using new date to date string. Let me delete this console log now. And then we got the last day using the new date, but we give them the 2022 June. Actually, we got a July, and we just say what is the date before July, and then we got the 30, and we got the date, that day's number using get date. The first day we got it similarly, but we got the current month and the first day, and we got the which day of the week is that. But because JavaScript starts from Sunday, we decrease this one by 1 to get to make it compatible with our calendar, which starts from Monday. And finally, we created a variable called days, and we filled the days with the firstly with empty, with the days with the class of empty, then with the class of with no class, and for the current day, we fill it with the div with the class of today. And finally, we put it inside that div with the class of days using inner HTML. Okay, that was it for our project. I hope you enjoyed and learned many things. See you in the next project.